We have Katie Meurin today. She is Director for SEO and Web Content Strategy at Southern New Hampshire University. SNHU is a private, nonprofit, accredited institution with more than 3,000 on-campus students. Maybe not today during COVID, but that's their usual on-campus headcount, and over 80,000 students online, and I bet that's gone up.
Yeah, I think it has.
Yep. The Southern New Hampshire University is one of the fastest growing universities in the country and a leader in the space. So really grateful to have you here, Katie, and to hear about your experience with your family and your career inside of COVID, and extending that conversation, not just looking for the, as you and I were talking in prep, the silver linings, as you said, but also looking for how can we cultivate resiliency. Certainly that muscle, you're someone I know who I know has that in spades, and you're very adaptable. And how did you get to be that way, and how people can cultivate that? So a lot of different things to talk about today. Yeah. So what are you seeing in your experiences with COVID-19? What are those silver linings that you're seeing?
For me, I think I was one of the people who early on was like really afraid of it. Some people were like, "Oh, it's just a flu; it's going to be okay." But I think right away I started to panic. And then I think in our space there was, a couple weeks where I think the whole country was panicking, the whole world was panicking. And so it was a little scary to see, like, are we going to bounce back from this? Are people still going to be pursuing education during this time? Or are they going to take a break? And I think I was really happy with the university's leadership. They just started over communicating with us. Like every question we had, it was like, submit your questions, we're going to answer. And then there was like regular video calls. And I think when I felt all that anxiety of like, am I going to still have a job? Is the university going to be okay? They really stepped up the communication. So I feel more secure, I think, in my job now, that I know that they'll do everything they can to make sure that they're protecting students and protecting employees. And like, I wouldn't have got to see that push come to shove if something like this hadn't happened. So we could really see how they would react. And then I think just seeing my husband's situation, alternatively, like, I just feel like they just didn't know what to do. He's at a law firm, and he got furloughed like right away. And then it was kind of like, we're not sure if we can bring people back or not. And it was just, I just felt like so fast. They were just like, we're going to have to let everyone go.
So there was a big compare contrast.
Yeah. Yep. So I just felt really grateful that I knew that the university was doing everything they could to make sure that we were trying to make sure we kept jobs and kept students moving.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. They quickly built trust, and you wouldn't have had this level of trust with the university, with your employer, with the teams, without the situation.
Yeah. Yep.
That's great. And I'm sorry about your, everybody's doing their best. I know everyone's doing their best. And I certainly don't want to be judged by my worst moments.
Yeah.
But yeah, I hear that. Well, great. Good on you, Southern New Hampshire University, for protecting the teens and the students and over communicating. That's wonderful. So what do you see is possible at the university or in your career, in life now, because COVID happened, because of the pandemic?
I think for me personally, I feel like I can have more work-life balance than I did. So I have 2 little kids, and I always felt like I was spending too much time away from them. Like, it's a long day for the kids to go to school and then have an after-school program. And I spent hours a day, like, just doing all the drop-offs and everything so I could get to work. And I always felt like, oh, I don't know, maybe I should cut down to part-time or something so that I can be there to pick them up and just be near them, I guess. And, but I also love to work. So there was always this, like, I couldn't figure out what the balance was. And I didn't feel like I could keep I could keep a strong career while being part-time. Like a lot of people do it, but I just didn't feel like I was going to be able to keep growing like that. But now I've had a chance to see that like I can be around them and still do a really great job at my work. So I feel like I'd like to continue to do that, to just find more opportunities to have a balance between being near them, still working.
I love that.
Full time at home, because I feel like I do want to get out a little bit. Like this is all over, I'll be happy to spend some time in the office and see all my coworkers, but I just feel like there wasn't really a good balance before. And I wonder if now more companies will see that there can be a little bit more of a balance.
That's awesome. I get that you have a new what's possible now in balance with family and career is expanded, like things that weren't possible before are now possible.
Yeah. And I just feel, I think, happier than I did before. I kept feeling like I was missing, like I wasn't swinging the pendulum. It was always like one way or the other. And
Yeah. Yep.
um and now,
Guilty, right? The
yes.
typical mom
Yeah.
guilt and
Yeah.
not doing well enough at work, not doing well enough at home.
Yeah. And my husband's like, I really feel like you're thriving right now. Like to be a pandemic in here.
Wow.
And I
No,
mean, I was anxious, but like actually being home, being able to work and spending more time with my family, like I was really happy. So
that's awesome. That's a wonderful silver lining. And I can't
yeah.
wait to hear, how you negotiate that with your employer and how that plays out in the career. It's a really great thing to know. Because self-care typically for working parents is an afterthought at best.
Yeah. I
And
think,
I hear self-care in what you're saying too.
yeah, definitely. And I think that the team will have more empathy for remote workers. Like we didn't have a lot of remote workers before the pandemic. There were some, but I remember being kind of difficult. Like the remote worker could hear whoever was streaming and then couldn't hear people at the other end of the table and they couldn't see their facial expressions. So I also felt like if I worked remote one day, I wasn't really present during the meetings because I, part of it, or I would hear pieces of it breaking up. And so a lot of times if I had to work remote for some reason, I would just push meetings to the next day. And I'd be like, I'm just going to push it till when I can see you in person. But now I think we'll have more empathy for what it's like to work remotely and just do like everyone opens up their computer and does video conferencing for the person who's remote. I hope that we can do that.
Yeah.
So that it feels
Yeah.
like they're
Greater workability and flexibility. Yeah. And empathy. Oh, that's awesome.
But you've had this going for a long time, right? Because you've been managing remote teams.
Yeah, for 16 years. And for 2 years before that, when I worked for my mentors, it was also remote business.
One of the things I think that's really cool about that is that you're not limited to your geographic area to find talent too.
It's huge. It's huge.
Because when I was hiring, like we're in southern New Hampshire, so there's only so many people who can commute to southern New Hampshire. So the pool just geographically is pretty small. And I would think about some, people I would meet at conferences or, people I'd be following on social media who are doing SEO. And I would want to be like, oh, if I was ever hiring that person, looks great. But then if you're an organization that you have to be there in person, like that talent is kind of out the window. You can't just pick somebody that you think is really great, like whoever walks in the door. So I hope that will help too. And now that we all know how to do this remote work and we've proved that we can do it, that we'll be able to open up a more diverse talent pool too as our teams continue to grow.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I have a virtual assistant on the team in Ghana.
Oh,
It's
wow.
our newest addition. Yeah. And I usually find talent directly, like you're talking about. You meet someone or hear about someone. But I hired through an agency, and this agency, I'll just give them a plug if we end up using this one, is this snippet is iWorker, and they specifically target areas of the world that are at risk so that when you hire someone, you're really making a difference. So cool. So cool.
That is really cool.
I love it. Yeah. And people have concerns about remote work, like, oh, can you see that they're doing their work? And I mean, is that you can tell if everyone on the team can tell if someone's pulling their weight or not. Doesn't matter where they are.
Sitting next to you if you, it depends
Yeah.
on the project work they have, but somebody could be sitting next to you and not really working too. So
yeah, we found that the team can, it's pretty obvious. People show you who they are early. If you're not listening, all there's to do is listen. Yeah. There's my pause for Aria, so I remember. What have you or your peers or teams at the university learned that you wouldn't have learned without this experience of COVID?
I think it's that empathy for remote workers. I feel like we weren't doing the best job we could have to support our people who were remote. And now we all have this shared empathy for what it's like to be working remote. And I think that we'll do a better job at opening up our computers and everybody putting video on and supporting the people who are remote. So we'll have more diverse talent pool. We won't be limited to our geographic location. I mean, a good example of that is we're an online and campus school, but a lot of our students are all over the country. So we just hired student workers for the upcoming semester. And typically we hire someone who can come into the office, but because we don't have the office open this year, we thought for the first time, like, we can go anywhere. So
wow.
One in Kentucky, one in California, one in Maine. So that's the first time that my team has ever been able to just be like, we can look anywhere. And I hope that continues because, I mean, we have also a student worker in the Carolinas, and he's been with us for like about 6 months, but that was our first online student worker. And I feel like as positions are opening up, I can start thinking about, somebody we already trained, which is awesome. And we're also supporting our students because they get these paid federal work study jobs. So it just feels good all around.
Awesome. I hear it's benefiting a lot of people, or there are benefits, I should say, for a lot of people. Great. How are you preparing for the rebound for when we're not in a pandemic? What are you doing? What are you not doing?
I think as a university, we're just doing more research about what our students' needs might be coming out of the pandemic or during the pandemic. So the university mission was always about accessibility. We have a lot of students who go online because for some reason or another, they couldn't go to campus. Like some students, the nearest campus is hundreds of miles away, or I think my dad is a good example too. My dad, he had this dream that all 3 of his kids were going to go to colleges. Like I grew up like we're all going to go to college, but he never really talked about himself. And then he started working for New Balance, and they offered tuition assistance. So he had 3 kids at home and working full time, but with the tuition assistance and going online, he was able to get his bachelor's degree at SNHU. So I think it's like stuff like that where you can't, like he wouldn't have had time to go to campus because he would have had to watch us. So I think accessibility was always part of SNHU's mission. But now COVID is another reason why online might make college more accessible, because there might be people who aren't comfortable yet going to campus, and this is, an alternative for them. So then I think now what's next? Like people might be thinking like, well, when this pandemic hit, I didn't have a job where I was able to work remotely, so I just lost my job. So what careers are more likely to be able to continue to work remotely, and they might be looking at career changes. So I think that's kind of what we're thinking is like, what are people going to need now after this pandemic? Like how are things permanently changing because of this?
Wow. I got that. So you can fulfill even better on your mission, and you're seeing new opportunities to fulfill on the mission.
Yeah. Yeah.
I got it. Really cool. Really cool. Have you done any virtual events during the time? I'm curious about that.
I really wish that we did more. I actually have that as one of the things that is not a silver lining from this is I miss the celebrations that we used to have. So like there would be little wins that we would have, and then we'd go get cupcakes or, you know, like have chicken fingers from the the local restaurant or something. And it's like really simple pizza parties, really simple stuff to just say like, hey, we had, you know, we did a great job at this. Let's celebrate together. And now I feel like it's more involved to celebrate. Like, so we just don't do it as much. It takes more time and thought. So like I thought I wanted to do this team trivia event, like, you know, think of trivia questions and everyone answers them on Zoom. And
Yeah.
it takes more time to prep for that than it would be to just go get some cupcakes and everyone together in a conference room. So I do miss getting together to celebrate. But I think some things I've done is like I use Bright Edge for SEO, and they do user groups still, and we just meet virtually, and they send an order through to your local restaurant and have takeout come in. So they used to get dinners for us, and now it's kind of like we meet and we have a user group and you get takeout. That was really cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
You
So,
just reminded me of, I wonder if that LinkedIn acknowledgement tool came out as an offshoot of this, or if they had that planned. Have you seen that?
no, I haven't seen it.
There's a way to give acknowledgement. It's come up in my notifications a few times, and I believe it's in, oh, now I'm not going to remember exactly where I saw it, but there's a cool new, I'll follow up with you on that one. It's,
Is it like a great job?
yeah,
Like
that kind of a
you
thing.
said? I
Yeah,
love
I was
that.
trying to
Yeah.
remember where in the interface it is. It's, yeah, I'll follow up with you on that one. Yeah, it is cool. Because you're right, it does take more work. So we're probably doing less of that, although
Yeah.
the delivery services are benefiting. It's
Yeah.
amazing how
Yes.
some
Yeah.
industries are, the different industries are affected in much different ways.
Right.
Yeah.
I also was finding, just like with my small team meetings, that we used to sit next to each other. So every morning it would be like, oh, how was your day? How was golf last night? Like, you know, normal chit chat. And now with Zoom, I feel like it's like straight to business. Like we're just like, okay, we're here to meet about this. Okay, bye. So I started setting up meetings where it was just to catch up. Then I was in those meetings and I felt like we were all like, what are you doing this weekend? Because we're all quarantined. So there was not much to talk about. So I started doing like little icebreakers. So every time we meet, we have like some topic, like, I don't know, what was something that you learned this week? Or like, what was the most interesting thing that you came across this week? Or I don't know, something like that, so that we have something to like spark a conversation. But I think that's been good, because otherwise we kind of lose that team building that we had, like the camaraderie. And then when it's just work, it's less fun to work, I think.
Got it. Yeah, and you have a pretty tight team over there.
Yeah.
You got that. Okay. How has your job changed?
I think it's a little harder to train. I'm trying to continue to grow my team and make sure more people know SEO, and I miss being able to look over their shoulders to say like, oh, I gave you this keyword research. How's it going? Can I help you with anything? And it's not that I can't do that on Zoom, but walking past someone, you can kind of see that, like, a confused look. They're like just staring at the computer, and I can say like, oh, can I help you with that? And now it's kind of like I assume everything's okay if I don't hear anything, and then things can take longer. I feel like they're not getting enough of my attention. So it's a little bit harder. I think I just have to think, I have to be more thoughtful about how I'm going to train remotely. So it's a little bit harder in that regard. But some positives is that I feel like I was spending a lot of time walking to meetings or commuting in, or just getting caught in the coffee line, chatting. So I feel like I'm much more productive now. And I can block out noise. So when I was at my desk, anyone could walk up and just, throw anything at me. And now I can really get into a spreadsheet and stay in there and stay focused instead of like, somebody talked to me and now I forgot where I was. And so I do really like that aspect of it.
Got it. And looking at this from the perspective of, again, staying on the side of the silver linings, not to suggest there haven't been quite a few, many negative impacts. And if we look to build resiliency intentionally, how do you see in retrospect how you have, as somebody who's got a pretty strong resiliency muscle, come to be that way? And how might people generate that for themselves?
I unfortunately, I think I got a little bit of like the grit from just childhood. So my parents didn't let me quit anything. So I kind of bring that into my career now too, where I feel like I have to see something through before I can move on. But on top of that, I think I started working on a master's degree in organizational leadership, and I'm about halfway done. And one of the, thank you. And one of the reasons I did that is because I kept feeling like I had good ideas, but I couldn't get people to follow me. Like I needed help in order to get the ideas done, but I couldn't get people motivated to change whatever they were doing and work on something different. So I wanted to learn how to motivate people and how to lead change without demotivating people or making people upset. And so I think one of my favorite courses was on change theory. And I learned about Cotter's 8-step change model. And that was really a pivotal moment for me because I think it just recognizes that change is always going to happen. And then how can you be on the side where you're leading change in a positive way, versus being like a naysayer or like even how do you deal with a naysayer, because they're just going to be naysayers. And so I think before I learned more about change theory, I could see all the areas where I was falling short before. Like there would be one naysayer who was like, I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing. And then they kind of pollute everyone else.
Yeah.
So it's just staying on top of getting buy-in and communication, and the steps all are laid out to for successful change. So I think knowing that change is going to happen, just learn how to be a change agent and how to lead it.
Got it. I also hear in what you said that you are always self-assessing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then looking for gaps in skills.
Totally.
Yeah, and what would have you be able to affect what it is you're out to affect?
Yeah, and I do really appreciate mentorship too. So I always try to have a mentor. Throughout my career, I've had a mentor so that I can have someone kind of assist in that self-reflection. And I've definitely really appreciated having managers who are have that coaching mindset. So when I've had managers who are like, "You're doing a great job," it doesn't help me grow. So even though like I can have an initial reaction to feedback, like constructive feedback, like, "Oh, I thought I was doing everything I do," it is really helpful to have someone, even if it's a peer, to say like, how do you think I did on that presentation? Did the point come across? Do you think that I had the right next steps for that? Like anyone that you can kind of get feedback from. I think they have 360 peer reviews now. It depends on how big your organization is, but I think being open to feedback about yourself is really important.
That's great. And I hear that you're actually seeking it out.
Yeah.
And then managing yourself, because you're absolutely right. Our instinct is not to hear it, not to let it in, to protect our image of ourselves. But I get that you're open to seeing yourself differently.
Yeah, there's a woman at SNHU that talks about it's like this feedback strainer, and it's like you have this strainer on your head, and the feedback comes in. She's she's probably gonna be mad. I'm not. You get feedback and you decide what comes through. So maybe you get feedback and you're like, I don't really agree with that. I'm gonna keep moving. Like that's part of, I appreciate that part of myself. So you just strain that doesn't come through, and then everything else comes through. Does it make sense?
It perfectly makes sense.
Okay.
And I can actually see myself I see a colander, actually, like a kitchen colander. It's metal, it's gray metal, it's sitting on my head. Yeah.
Exactly. That's what I
Yeah.
have to do, the metal one.
You don't have to take it all, but,
Yeah.
Consider and look at it before, it's like when I'm seeing myself cleaning lettuce for a salad now. That's a bad piece. We'll put that in the trash. This one's still good.
Yeah.
I can
Because
tear the bad part off of this one and keep it. Yeah.
sometimes you get feedback from you're not ready to hear it at the time, and
Yeah.
you sit with it for a little while. So, but yeah, I think getting feedback is important for growing.
No, that was well said. Very valuable. Really great. Is there a question you'd like me to ask you that I haven't?
I don't think so.
This was really great. Awesome. I'm going to have to look up that Cotter's model. How do you spell that?
Kotter.
Okay, that's how I wrote it down. I wasn't sure. Like, welcome back, Cotter.
Yeah, I would really recommend The Iceberg is Melting.
Okay.
It's a fable that helps you understand all the steps. It's only 100 pages. It's a really easy read.
Wow.
But it's a fable about penguins, and about how like one penguin was trying to convince everyone that the iceberg was melting, but no one would listen. And then he had to find an advocate, and the advocate had to help him communicate with the leadership council of the penguins. And like, it just like, now when I'm going through the process, I go back to the penguins. Like, I'm the penguin saying the iceberg is melting, but I can't get anyone to listen or follow me. I need some help.
Awesome. I'm definitely going to go check that out. Thank you. Have a great day, and we'll talk to you soon.